Celtics fans, welcome back to episode 3 of the Celtics Catch-Up. I'm your host, Vinnie Carbone.
And I'm Brady Levinson.
And boy, do we have a fun episode planned for you. Let's get started.
Good ball fake, one more. Tatum! Oh, he caught one!
Brady, the man of the hour, Kristaps Porzingis. 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 blocks in his Celtics debut. What an amazing performance. How do you think he fits into the Celtics playstyle this year?
Well, what I'm calling it is the Porzingis effect. His ability to stretch the floor is something we haven't seen in Celtics basketball in a long time. I mean, talk about the difference between, just even from last season to this season, you put Porzingis in there instead of Rob Williams, it's a whole new offensive scheme. And it changes it in a good way. And because Porzingis obviously is able to shoot a three, we don't have Rob, and who wasn't able to shoot the three. And having Porzingis there, it's just a completely different dynamic. And, you know, there were struggles at times.
True.
And, we just need to get used to playing in that play style and honestly, it's going to get better from there.
And also, we saw the double big lineup, like you mentioned in a previous episode. We saw Al Horford alongside Porzingis for a majority of that game. And I feel like with Al Horford being there, it gives Porzingis that green light to shoot. I mean, he took 9 threes, made 5 of them. That's more than the guards on that team. How do you think him shooting all those threes will help them win or lose games?
Well, it definitely takes a load off some of the other offensive key points,
True.
just like Tatum and Brown. Like, I remember watching last night, there were times where Tatum wasn't in there. And I feel like a lot of time last year we struggled to score when he wasn't out there. But now that we have Porzingis who can open up the floor more, create more opportunities for other guys like JB, Derek White, and Drew, it just, it will help our offense a lot more.
Fair. And talking about giving those starters a rest, even though we came home with the W, Porzingis and Tatum had 64 of our points last night. Our bench really didn't help out. They had a combined 12 points. And that can't happen in future games that we need to win. How do you think we can improve on that during the season? How do we get our bench more depth?
You know, I think it's just gonna kind of be a trial and error type of just like whatever Joe Mazzulla tries to do with the bench. I mean, last night we only saw 4 guys. We saw Horford, Cornette, Pritchard, and Hauser. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's other guys. You got O'Shea Brissett, Delonto Banton, Jordan Walsh. There's a lot of guys who obviously didn't see the floor last night that easily could find themselves rotation spots later in the year. But I think it's really just going to be seeing what works. And obviously, last night, only 12 points. I mean, you can't say it didn't work because it's only one game because we have to see more.
Sure.
But I think it's really just going to be Mazzulla just trying different things out, seeing what works, and going from there.
Yeah, and going with trial and error, we had 15-point leads at some points in the first half of that game. Towards the end of the fourth quarter, we lost it. They came back. They took their first lead of the game in the fourth quarter, I believe. How can we limit those comebacks? I mean, that's been a huge theme of Celtics blowing out teams in the first half and other teams coming back. What do players like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, even Payne Pritchard off the bench, what do they need to do to limit these comebacks?
Well, starting with Pritchard, I mean, we saw what his scoring capabilities could be in the preseason. Mm-hmm. And he only had 4 points in 11 minutes last night. And obviously, 11 minutes off the bench, not a lot of time to really do much. But we need to keep those leads. We need the bench to be more impactful than it was, like I already said. But honestly, we need to keep the energy up. At times where the Knicks were coming back last night, we looked kind of flat out there. And that happened a lot last season and was just part of our downfall in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we need to keep the energy up. We need more contribution from the bench. And I think if we put those two together, everything else goes well. I think we'll be able to keep those leads. So, Vinny mentioned we had a fun episode planned, and that's because we have a guest star for the first time in Celtics catch-up history. I'm going to send it over to our resident Knicks fan, Jordan Rosenthal, for a few words.
It's an absolute pleasure to be on Celtics catch-up. I guess you could call me a resident Knicks fan. More like a Dark Days resident Knicks fan, like 2012, 2018, but a few things I saw on the Celtics, because no one wants to hear about the Knicks, let's be real. Really anytime you get a win away against who is likely unbiased top 6. No, for real, they're probably a top 6 Eastern Conference team. That's good. But this team needs to stay to their identity, stay to their strengths, right? They let teams back in games. This was a problem for them last year as well. Don't get messy. The Celtics are one of the most organized, well-coached, well-run teams in the league. They have a system. They run that system. As soon as the game starts breaking down, and unorganized teams, like sometimes the Knicks are, where those turnovers, possessions happen, and the game gets fast, that's when the game gets away from the Celtics, right? And they take the lead so often, you want to be able to keep that lead, have a chokehold on the opponent. One more thing I'll say is this team's definitely a veteran away from being a lock or the potential favorite to reach the Eastern Conference Finals. Even in what's probably a weaker East than West, look for them to pick up a veteran wing or a veteran guard who can provide some kind of 3-and-D effort, because Peyton Pritchard, I'm sure he's okay. Al Horford's, I think, 41. But look for them to pick up another vet to help them along the way.
Thank you, Jordan Rosenthal, for your very wise words. We have heard you are a everything expert. 1 win in the books, only 59 more till we hit 60.
That's going to be all for this episode of Celtics Catch Up. We're looking forward to the rest of the season. Vinny's very excited, obviously. Celtics have their home opener tomorrow night. We're looking to see how well they play at home. But until next week, Brady and Vinny signing off. Go Celtics.